Hello Charles, got you a great brake booster ready to test. I want to go over a few things before the machine gets turned on, makes noise. All your plating, the original CAD plating, got your a rebuilt air filter assembly. Your slave cylinder is good to go. I have screwed your brake light switch into this bottom port just in order to test the switch, but as you know, your switch goes on the front on a Y fitting here, and then there's a plug that I will install in here that goes there, but this is just for testing purposes, and we're going to test the brake light switch right now because the machine's too noisy for you to hear the tone that's made when the brake light switch is activated. And you can see it's activated, and then we'll check the pressure which it activates. It looks like it comes on at about 35 psi, give or take, so it'll come on very quickly when you hit the brakes. So that works. Now then, vacuum. Let's see, we're going to both of these gauges are going to go up and read the vacuum as produced by my vacuum pump and as held by your diaphragm in the can. And then this gauge will stay constant, hence the name constant, and this gauge is going to drop to 0 when the booster is fully activated. The more the booster is engaged, the more it drops to 0, and then full activation when the gauge hits 0. Over here we've got our hydraulic input. These two gauges are tied together. This gauge goes up, maxes out, and this gauge goes up and reads final input pressure as supplied by my master cylinder. And this is the output. Again, the gauges are tied together. This gauge goes up, maxes out, and then this reads final output pressure when the booster is engaged. And also, I'm going to show you right now that when the booster is inactive with no vacuum going to it, the booster is inert. It simply passes brake fluid from the input to the output, just passes through right there. So the booster is only active when you've got vacuum going to it. So right now I'll show you how the booster works when you got no vacuum. So you got 350 input, 350 out, 350 out. Booster simply runs the fluid through there. With the vacuum, and you'll see the difference. So this is a 2-to-1 boost ratio, so we're going to hit 350 here, we're going to see at least 700 here. While we're under pressure, we start checking for leaks. Lead screws are good. This is the only other joint where it's going to leak. And we are in great shape. Got a good booster. Cycle a couple more times. This is what it looks like all together. Okay, let's see, a couple other things to mention. .3 brake fluid is what I'm using here, and so I will have the, I'll drain as much as I can out of the booster, and I will put some delivery plugs in here to keep leakage from occurring in shipment. But when you remove the plugs, there will be a little residual .3 in there, so watch out. Don't get any on your paint. This port right here is a test port, and all you have to do is remove this plug, and when the booster's in the car and you have it installed, or anytime you want to test the booster, you put your vacuum gauge in here, you run the engine and press on the brakes and watch your vacuum gauge. You'll see how well the booster is functioning. Trying to think if there's anything else to mention here. Oh yes, on the brake light switch. All I did on the brake light switch is I screwed this in by hand. A lot of people will really wrench down on them, and especially when you're going into your brass Y fitting. You don't need to do that. You just need to screw them down until they don't seep fluid right here. And in this case, I just screwed it down by hand. And let's see if I can unscrew it by hand. Yeah, see, it wasn't in there very tight to keep it from leaking. So don't make the mistake of really wrenching down on this thing and ruining the brass Y fitting. And you got a good booster, ready to rock and roll. Thanks for your patience on this one.